Hey everybody, it is so good to see you. Christina Surdom Powers is back with us again, one of our favorite guests, also one of our favorite group members. So we're very excited. Before we get into Christina, though, I just want to, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Marie Sennett. My gig here is not only running this group and giving you as much fabulous information as I can, but also I have a signature program where I help people get completely ready for their retirement, and it's a holistic retirement. So we look at everything beyond finances, who you're going to be in your new life, what you want to do, meeting all those bucket list things, and getting your mind and body ready to live that dream. So that's who I am, and that's why I'm here. But Christina is an amazing person, and we are so lucky to have her with us and in our group. So Christina is a certified Ayurvedic specialist. She is working with people right now in terms of losing weight and also folks who have IBS and giving them the opportunity to have life where you're not running for the bathroom, which is like one of the greatest gifts in the world. Being able to pick up and go somewhere without worrying about like, can I make it? Just fabulous. And she works with clients one-on-one in many other ways. She's helped me get through some crazy stuff too. And I just love her. So I'm glad she's here again. And she is going to talk about getting ready for spring. We're going into yet another Ayurvedic season. And at this point, I will turn it over to Christina so she can give us all the good stuff she's got.
Thank you for that warm welcome, Marie. And thank you again for going over all the fabulous things you work with people. That's exciting to me. And I love referring my clients to you who are ready to do that, because that's the whole point of what we do, is to get people to the point of enjoying their lives.
True.
Yeah. So seasonal cleansing, we are on the cusp. So we have really in Ayurveda, you think of 6 seasons, but we talk about 3 typically is what we hear of, and they're aligned with the doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And we are in that cusp area of what we call late Vata or late winter season, moving into early spring or early Kapha season. And so it's the time where we want to really think about how we're going to change and transition our diet, our lifestyle, our behaviors, because the seasons are changing. And whether we're in a part of the country where we have drastic seasonal changes or we have slower seasonal changes, there are still changes happening because of the nature of being on this planet Earth. In relation to the moon and the sun, there are different frequency changes that happen that some of us are aware of. We can feel them, and some of us, we don't know. It's like, what is happening? But there is something happening.
Yeah, and with the changing climate, well, I mean, I'm sure you'll get into that, but it just makes me think like there's extra things we need to be aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ayurveda is always looking at how to operate this human mind body in the climate and the environment that we're in. So there's the environment that's around us, and then there's the environment that we're creating within the body. And so we consider climate, where we live, is hugely important. We consider the age of life that we're in, the time of life we're in, and we consider what we are made of, what our natural constitution is, and how all those things blend and create what's happening with you right now. And then there are other, what we call the lifestyle stressors that come in and can push us out of balance. And so we have and build an Ayurvedic tool chest, the tools that bring us back into balance. And cleansing is one of the most important ones.
And it helps us basically reset our body, right?
Exactly. I'm going to talk a little bit more what that means when we say reset. What are we resetting? I think it's really important people have that information, and that helps them make better decisions.
So what's the first thing we should think about?
Well, I want to talk a little bit, like just exactly what you said. I want to talk about what a cleanse is and what we're really doing, because I think that, just like we learned in our youth, that phrase, knowledge is power. I think that information gives us that power to make choices about our life when we feel like things we can't control. Actually, when we look at the deeper context of our bodies and our minds, we can be in control, even when we think that's not the case. So I'm just going to break down a cleanse a little bit, and I'll kind of stop for questions too.
Okay.
or stop me, because you know how I am when I get rolling. I just keep going, and I want to take a breath and not overwhelm. So we are, as I said, I'll just kind of also bring in the context of what Kapha season is as well. We're moving into that Kapha season, and in Ayurveda, we always look at the elements. There are 5 basic elements: fire, air, earth, and water. And Kapha is made up of that earth and water element. So that is the heaviest element. It's like our base, it's our home base, and what keeps us feeling solid and stable. But when we move out of balance, it can get us into that stuck feeling, mind and body. So a cleanse, what it means is we're removing the toxins that build up in our digestive system and the tissues of the body. And oftentimes people, and it makes sense, it's like you're putting something in your mouth, it's coming out in another place. So they think this is what we're cleansing, is this digestive tract. It is, but what's really the deeper cleanse that's happening is you're cleansing the blood, you're cleansing the lymph system. You're even, when you go to a deeper, let's say, clinical cleanse, when you work with a practitioner, you're pulling out that thick, heavy ama that rests and finds its home in our tissues of most weakness in our body. So if we
explain ama real quick, because I'm not sure everybody knows what ama is.
So we bring in toxins in our body through food, water, and air, right? It comes in through all the sense organs. And so once it's inside the body, it usually metabolizes and it's eliminated. So that's, when we get sick and we have, diarrhea or we have vomiting, that's our body saying, hey, there's some stuff in here that has to get out. Or we have a fever and it comes, profusely sweating out of the channels. That's the natural elimination system. However, there are toxins, and toxins, let's say, toxins is synonymous with what we call ama. And so it gets into the cells. It's literally what interferes with the physiology of how a cell is produced. It's gunky, it has substance, it's thick. When it comes out, it looks like a thick, grayish to white, oily clay. That's the residue that's in the cells, and then begins to build and build itself around the tissues. So for example, whatever our bodies, we say, I've suffered from this for years. I've had, achy arthritis, or I've had, something in my stomach, or something, whatever part of the body is the weakest part, that's where it lives. And then that's the development of disease.
Got it.
And that is why on a deep level, cleansing is so critical to our physical health.
Yeah, I definitely want to get that out of me.
So, if you're somebody who has chronic illness, chronic colds, chronic flus, chronic, whatever it is, seems to be the cycle that happens every year, that is pure evidence right there. You have ama that's residing in your tissues. And we all do. It's not just because I've been practicing Ayurveda for X number of years that I'm ama free. The thing of it is that ama will be developed in the body when our digestive system is not digesting and we're not absorbing nutrients. When that system is impeded, then that's where the ama builds up. And that's why, from an Ayurvedic perspective, we really hone in on getting that digestive system working, because we know on a physiological level, when that digestive system isn't working, your body is producing and storing less minimal ama.
Yeah. And we want to make sure that can we have none, or can we just have the least amount possible?
Well, I'm sure if you are in a pure state of, yogic life meditation, and you may be sitting somewhere where you don't have any human or animal stressors that bring stress into your life, that could be possible. But in this human experience, part of our human experience is we are in what we call a dichotomy situation. Everything is, balancing this equilibrium down to the cellular level, down to that positive and negative charge when you want to get to that cellular physiology. And so either, there's too much pull from one direction or the other, and our whole job is to balance it. When you talk about yoga and meditation or an Eastern philosophy of chi, you're trying to bring that into the central channel so that there is this balance. And so we're always doing that. And that's why, Ayurveda, I believe, is the operating manual for the physical human mind body. You have to be able to do maintenance. We clean the outside of our body. Somehow dirt doesn't just suddenly disintegrate. We have to clean the inside of the body. That's the nature of how we've developed as human beings. Is there has to be this regular cleansing, and we have a natural rhythm system, which is night and day, the sun and the earth. It's the seasons changing, and so and the human body operates right along with it, and so we have to pay attention to that, so that we can do the things we like to do in retirement and enjoy and not feel sick and not feel tired and not feel lethargic and not feel brain fog and all those things that clog up us doing what we love to do.
Yeah, indeed. And God knows we want to do as much as we can. So how do we start this cleanse for this particular season?
Yeah, I guess, if you don't mind, do you mind me getting a little bit more into like what the Kapha season is a little bit?
Go for it. Whatever you think we need, Christina. Go for it.
Yeah, and I kind of want to mention, also put out that there are layers of cleansing. So I'm going to give you and your audience the things that we can do at home on our own, and then I'm also going to direct you to what you really would want to do with a practitioner like myself. And going into those deeper cleanses if you're ready. I don't do those with everybody. I wouldn't say, hey, let's sign up and let's do this deep cleanse. You have to really have prepared and be ready. So a lot of clients that I work with, they get to that point. I wouldn't say every single person is always ready to go deeper, because it does involve, doing some lifestyle changes. So what it involves is changing the diet, and I'm going to give you the Kapha season food list today. We're going to take a look at that. So going from eating these heavier, warmer, oilier, sweeter foods in the wintertime, which is what we should be eating, then we have to lighten it up. So now they become lighter, they become a little bit drier, because we're starting to get that body to prepare for that flushing. And then, sometimes if we're going to go into a deeper cleanse, then we want to flush, we want to pull those toxins out of those cells, that heavy, thick, clay, oily substance that I said resides in the cells, and it's the ama. We want to be able to pull that out and draw that out. So in Ayurveda, we do medicinal formulated oils and teas and the diet, and it draws those into the intestinal system, and then we flush it out through the colon, or we flush it out through the tract that comes up and out of the mouth. We call that vamana. So any questions on that?
Nope. I like the terminology, but it's very clear. Thanks.
Yeah. So I want to talk about what are the symptoms and signs of the Kapha season. And so these are things that we can all go, oh, okay, that's what I start feeling. And these are things, we call it rupa. And as we move through our life, we want to pay attention. That's a rupa. What rupa means, it's a pre-symptom, it's a pre-sign. And if we take care of it now, it's easy breezy. But if we suddenly wait till it just keeps coming and coming, then we move into disease or illness manifestation. So as I mentioned, the Kapha season, it's aggravated during the winter by the heavier, denser, warmer, oilier foods and the sensory experiences. And that doesn't mean to say, and what a lot of people will do is suddenly, and I see this with my clients, they go, I should start eating the salads during winter. I should start doing the greens and the juicing and eating all these light, drier foods. And I said, no, because all you're doing is you're aggravating the vata imbalances that are happening. We have to, again, it's that balance. We have to bring it in there. But what often happens is people will eat bigger portions of those heavier, sweeter, oilier foods. They'll start grazing on it. And this time of season is for us to be a little bit slower, a little bit quieter. By the time we get to this cusp right now, people are feeling, if they overindulge now, and it's starting to get a little bit moister and warmer, this heavy stuck feeling comes in, and that's sometimes associated with weight gain if they're eating bigger portions and they're eating more of those types of foods. But also mind fog, brain fog, this feeling of lethargy, Lethargy is, I'm just going to sit here. I could do something, but I'm not. I
Yeah.
do have I do have the energy, but I have no motivation to do anything whatsoever. So I'm not going to do it. That's a Kapha imbalance in the mind. And that's kind of the season where it starts showing up.
I've noticed a number of people saying to me lately, I was really into getting up and taking care of myself, and now I'm having a hard time, and myself included. I find myself sometimes being like, I'll get to it.
Same here. And so what the medicine for Kapha-ness is get up and move. So when we had Vata, where we need to be a little bit stiller, a little bit slower and quiet because we need that stability. Now we need to start lighting that fire under our Kapha energy that feels a little stuck. And because that heavier, denser, oilier foods, the dryness of the Vata season, particularly if we had any excess, if we ate more heavier, oilier, denser, sweeter foods than we should have been eating, and it didn't digest, and it started building ama, and it started building extra weight, it gets thick and solid, literally within the body. And it begins to solidify and in the tissues of the body. And so when we start getting that Kapha season, that warmth, what happens is it aggravates it. And so now we get excess mucus because it's a melting effect. And it's in the lungs, it's in the lymph system, it's in the throat, it's in the sinus. So now when people say, I have allergy season is upon us. Well, yes, but it's really Kapha season. And if you aggravated it with those kinds of excesses in the Vata season, now you have the pouring of postnasal drip, you have the eyes that are itchy, red and watery, you have the here, you have the congestion here, and all of that mucus, it's a ripe environment for growing bacteria.
Yeah, don't need that.
And so what you can see, like I mentioned before, you'll see this brain fog. Like I had the brain fog this morning. If you did you notice how I had to verify several times what time we were coming on today?
Yeah, because we're on opposite sides of the U.S., so it's.
I know, but I couldn't, like, my pizza mind would have been like this. I know exactly what the times are, but I was like, okay, she said 1 p.m. Eastern. Is that 8? I mean, it's like I was in a fog. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I wanted to make sure I wasn't late and didn't miss it. So that was, beginning to happen to me. And I noticed my phone is starting to be somewhere. And I'm like, I usually know, I put things exactly where they are so that I can always, that's, that pitta mind of organization. But now I'm like, it's over here, it's over there. I don't even know where it is. It's in my closet.
Yeah.
So,
I find that I'm setting more timers to remind me of meetings so
same.
that I don't miss them. Because my brain is getting foggy for this. Yeah.
Well, that's a typical Kapha rupa or beginning sign that we really need to do some cleansing. And when we do the cleansing, it is not just the digestive tract. It's not just, it goes to the deep tissues. And one of the deepest tissues is our nervous system. And so when we talk about Vata season, where we have a high propensity for anxiety and worry and fear and overwhelm to come up, when we're in the Kapha season, we have a high propensity for that brain fog, that lethargy, that malaise, that light depression and malaise that could lead to a deeper depression. Another symptom is your ears start getting cloggy. It's like going, I feel like they're full of wax. So it's that heavier, thicker substance, nasal drip. We get tired and sleepy after meals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so like the meals does too much work for me sometimes. I'm ready for bed.
Well, it's actually what it means is your system, the dial of the digestive fire is turned way down. So if you think of your stove where it's way up in the summer with pitta season, when it gets to Kapha season, it is just that low, slow burn. And so whatever we eat, we feel like we have a sluggish digestion, and the body, it takes huge amount of energy to digest. So the body, all the energy is going there. The brain shuts down. The whole body is like, I need to go to sleep because there's so much energy happening in the digestion. I have brain fog. I can't think clearly. It's like tandem effect is what's happening. And so it's an explanation. It's not you. It's not you. Oh, I'm so sleepy and lethargic, or I can't focus. There is a physiological thing that's happening typically at this time of the year. And typically, whatever your constitution is, primary Vata, Pitta, or Kapha, this is the overarching environmental cycle of the season that comes in. And we can have a tendency to move in that way. Not everybody will, but it's a larger propensity for this to happen. And as I said, depression, malaise, and weight gain are what's typical during this time.
Yeah, nobody needs any more weight gain.
And so we're the heavy winter season, people think they gain weight during that season because that's when you should be eating those heavier, thicker, sweeter, denser foods. And like I said, people will overindulge and eat more proportions than they should and graze. But that is the time, the highest time for losing weight. That is when we have, our whole body is designed that's shedding, we're getting, everything about us is getting lighter. And so if we stay in that cycle, it's easier to lose weight. I mean, I have a high success rate of all my weight loss group people who came in just before the holidays. It was hugely successful of losing weight because we kind of stuck to that. And when we get to this time of the year, suddenly now this is the time when the weight will just start packing on because we feel like we don't want to move. The digestion is sluggish. And so it's prime environment for weight to start packing on between the end of February all the way till May. Yeah. And then people go, oh my God, it's summer. I have to lose all this weight. And they think it was the winter season, but it's really the nature of what happens in the spring. And so if we go with what the nature of spring is to get up and start moving, lighten the load and get moving, then we can be in that energetic rhythm of taking weight off easier. If that's the thing that is, typically been a challenge for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to talk a moment. How am I doing with the time?
You're good. You're good.
So let's talk about what the cleanse actually does. So we talked about, when to do it, why to do it, what's happening. And you had mentioned to that. So it resets our appetite, which is extremely important. Appetite is, we want to have an appetite as opposed to not having an appetite. And we don't want to have the appetite too aggressive. It resets, which means it's resetting our metabolism. When you think about your appetites, it's really connected very deeply with the metabolism and the way in which we metabolize all the nourishment that comes into the body. Like I said, if with the Kapha digestion, we're feeling metabolism has just really gotten very, very slow. And we need to turn up that volume, turn up that heat. And as I said, there is probably nobody in the history of going through this type of cleanse that I've ever seen did not lose weight, whether it's a couple pounds. Some people who are like, not everybody needs to lose weight. We need to get rid of the ama and we need to get rid of the toxins. So, whether it's that ama, which is 1 or 2 pounds, getting rid of that stuff that's a little bit lighter, or whether it's, 5 or 10 pounds. We need to break habits, these habits that contribute to us having cyclical illness, chronic illness, chronic fatigue, chronic, that mucusy, whatever it is that feels chronic that we're like, oh, I got the sickness again, so that we can feel better physically, but also mentally. It alters our microbiome. And I think that's a big word that a lot of people have really tuned into in the last, let's say 5 years. They have an understanding that there's a microbiome in the gut, and that's almost like a second brain in the body. And so the bacteria and other microbes that are in our digestive system, they play a major, major role in the process of how our body processes and how our brain processes. And when we do these cleansing, it is rebooting and rebuilding that environment. And just, it's a garden. It is a literal garden that's growing there with billions and billions of all kinds of different flora and fauna. And if you're a gardener and you are not caretaking, there's just all kinds of excess things that grow there that you weren't, that are not beneficial to the whole system, to the whole garden. Yeah. So that's kind of, I guess, I hope an analogy that would make sense to some people is that you really have to caretake and you have to reset and build the soil.
Get rid of the weeds, build the soil.
And it literally changes your life. I mean, it's, you want to think physiologically, it's really the driver that's in your seat. And so when you do a cleanse and a reset, it works in conjunction with the nervous system and the brain. And once, what's down here is, pushing the brain, pushing the subconscious to start doing things and orient it, because there's so much, if there's an imbalance that's going on in the gut, it's pushing the brain to do things that it thinks is going to bring it in balance, when in fact, it keeps bringing it more and more out of balance. And if there's more imbalance, let's say microbiome residents in your gut, they're the ones in charge, and they keep pushing it because they want to, they want to flourish. We need to bring that balance, and cleansing is the major factor for doing that. So what, on a basic level of how you can do it yourself, and Ayurveda looks at the Khichdi mono diet. And so you would want to have, it's a mung bean and rice, and then digestive spices, which work with building up what we call the Agni. So I said turning up that metabolism, turning up that digestive fire, so that we can digest properly and not build toxins. And it works with, together, like I said, the microbiome in the gut and the microbiome in the mind. And it cleanses the blood and the lymph tissues and removes those toxins. So they'll come into the gut and they'll remove through the elimination system, and it'll start resetting that metabolism. Now, to go to a deeper level, like I said, if you're going to do a deeper cleanse, you're going to do it with a practitioner, and the practitioner advised that, yes, you're ready to do it, then you would involve medicinal oils that you bring into the body, teas, and then that would pull those toxins deeper from the tissues and go through the elimination system.
I've had friends asking about, is that when you're supposed to have castor oil when you're doing your cleanse?
That's if you're going to do a vomina cleanse, which is a vomiting cleanse.
Oh, okay.
And there's several ways to do it. Castor oil is one element, but there are several factors. It could be, there's a licorice tea that I use sometimes with certain clients. That would not be everybody. Too much licorice can be, it opens up a blood pressure. So if someone struggles with high blood pressure, licorice would not be the one that I would want to use.
Yeah.
Some use, what is it? Here is the brain fog coming in. Baking soda. So that's because what it is, since we brought it up, and I don't want it to be like such a mystery. So Kapha season, as I said, it's when we have more earth and water or heavierness in the body. And so there's more fluids. And so what happens is the stomach has to be cleaned out. And so in Ayurveda, there's 5 cleansing actions. Let's say a practitioner, when they do a deeper cleanse, they're going to do one of the 5 cleansing actions. And we're in the Kapha season, so what would make most sense is to cleanse the stomach, and that's why vamana, that's the Sanskrit word for vomit, to induce that, to cleanse out that excess fluid, which the fluid is what causes us to have that sluggish digestion, and to help repopulate the biome in the gut. And so you go through a natural process. You just don't wake up in the morning and suddenly start, vomiting. There's a whole natural process that happens, and it's not horrible and awful and all of this stuff. And then the second one would be coming through the elimination system, where you spur on the elimination system, and and so each one of those actions would take 1 to 3 hours, depending on your system. So after you went through the week of mono diet and cleansing, mono diet with Khichdi and herbs and spices to get your body ready to do that, and your body is ready in 1 or 3 hours in a morning situation to do that. And then the practitioner would help you integrate. You wouldn't just suddenly start eating your steak and potatoes and cheesecake. You'd want to be integrating it into the seasonal foods, which I'm going to share that with you. If you want to bring that up, that's probably a good time to take a look at that now.
Okay.
What are the Kapha season foods?
Wow, alfalfa sprouts, cool.
I'm trying to get my, in looking at, this is what, let's say we don't have an imbalance. Let's say we don't have some high propensity of imbalance. Let's say we don't have high what are the imbalances that would, let's say, insomnia or sleep disturbance. That's not something that we're experiencing. That would be a vata imbalance. Let's say we have burning, indigestion, and diarrhea. That would be a pitta imbalance. If we have weight gain, if we have lethargy, if we I feel sleepy after meals and I feel sluggish, this is the food list for you. And this may be the food list for you all through the season. So when you're feeling balanced, you kind of pay attention to this because this is a season. If you're out of balance, let's say like I said, you had sleep disturbance or you had burning digestion or diarrhea, then we would want to look at what the pitta foods for the burning, we want to look at the vata foods for that, because that's the thing we need to bring you into balance, regardless of the season. But you had a question there and I was overlapping.
Yeah, I'm gonna literally digest this because I want to get rid of that lethargy and brain fog, and I know someone else in my house who would be happy to get rid of that too.
Yeah, so these are the foods that you want to pay attention to moving into the Kapha season. So I said we're in late Vata, and this is an ancient cycle. It's not brand new. It kind of starts February 2nd, and then it goes to March 19th this year is when we have the equinox. And then once that it's officially spring and it's the same as the spring equinox, this is the food list to kind of stick with. So start now choosing foods from here and to kind of make sure that becomes more your choice once you get all the way until early June, mid-June, when we get to the summer solstice time, June 21st is when we kick over into the pitta season. We want to pay attention to those food groups there. But so let's say...
Sorry about that. We've got the train coming through, folks.
Oh, that's cool. I remember that sound. So let's say you're not experiencing any vata or pitta imbalances, and you possibly are experiencing some kapha imbalances. Then you want to pay attention to this list and make these your primary choices. They are lighter and they are drier. And that's how we balance that heavy, wetter excess from kapha.
Cool. And so we would start doing this after we do the cleanse, or do we want to start doing the cleanse like March 19th? Like when do we start doing the monochrome diet?
Yeah, I would suggest you want to get ready. You don't want to be on a diet of, pizza, chips, and soda. And then the next day you go and throw yourself into a cleanse, because that's very shocking for the body. So what would be the best practice is if you now gradually start cleansing the body with choosing some foods from here and gradually start eliminating some of those foods that you might think are, let's say, the heavier, richer, sweeter, denser foods.
Okay.
Start reducing and bringing that down and choose more foods here. Then you want to do the best time to do the mono diet would be after March 19. Mm-hmm. Any time between March 19, let's say all the way through the end of April is a really good time, but the sooner the better, because the aggravation has already started. We call it accumulation stage in the winter season. You're accumulating this heavier, thicker, denser possible ama in the body. That's the accumulation during the winter, and now it's aggravated. And so the sooner you can relieve that aggravation, the sooner you can feel and flow in balance and not have to sit there and suffer through it, because it's coming. It's like they say, or what is that show? I don't know. Winter is coming. Well,
oh yeah, Game of Thrones.
spring kapha is coming, and you want to alleviate that as soon as possible. So you choose the foods here, and then you'd move to the mono diet. We talked about different body types. Ayurvedic body types would want to do different time frames. So let's say you're only going to do the mono diet. If you have a more propensity for vata, let's say you do experience a lot of sleep disturbances, worry, fear, overwhelm, anxiety. You have a much smaller body frame. It's a little bit harder for you to gain weight through your life, and you're in the vata time of life. You're in a colder, drier climate. It might make more sense for you to do 3 to 5 days of a mono diet. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're someone who's in the pitta time of life and you have a propensity for high intensity, possibly anger kind of pops up. You're constantly thinking, planning. You might have a sleep disturbance in the night where you wake up and thinking, planning about what you're doing the next day, but you go back to bed. You tend to run a little bit hotter, warmer. You might have burning indigestion, might be a chronic thing through your life. Diarrhea might be a chronic thing through your life. Those things are more pitta type imbalances. And so the time of frame that you would want to do it is between 5 and 7 days.
Got it.
You're what we call the moderate. And most people are that. I tend to fall into that category for myself. So let's say you have a tendency throughout life where you've been heavier, higher weight gain, and heavier could also mean higher muscle mass. So it's not just excess fat, but it's excess muscle.
I wish that were my issue. I wish it were my issue.
Bodybuilder type, the heavy bodybuilder type. Let's say, Arnold Schwarzenegger type. That's a definite Kapha type body. You might be a little bit, slower digestion. The mind might typically be a little bit more lethargic. You definitely don't have any sleep disturbances. In fact, if nobody woke you up, you'd sleep all day and into the night. Those types of tendencies are the Kapha imbalances, and you would definitely want to do 7 to 10 days of the mono diet, because there's more stuff to clear out and cleanse, and your system's a little bit slower, so we need to ramp it up. Most people fall into the pitta category, so they're going to do between 5 to 7 days. Is very typical.
Okay, and then where do we get the stuff for the diet?
Well, if you have an Indian grocery store near you, they're going to have every single thing. So if you're in a bigger city, it's typical that you have an Indian store near you. If you're not in a bigger city, you have stores like your local health food store for sure is going to have it. That's where I try to buy from all, the local health food stores. A Whole Foods or a Sprouts. We have in this area, we have what's called Briar Patch. We have a lot of food co-ops. They have all the stuff. So if you are so fortunate that you live in an area of the world that you have those types of things available, definitely. And if you're not, if that seems to be like what we call a food desert in your area, you can order them online. And one of the best companies I like to, there's many, but I like to order from Banyan Botanicals. Banyan, they're also a group that started they went to the same school I did in California, and their next phase of their life was to build this company, Banyan Botanicals, and a lot of people have heard of them, where you can order the mung bean. They'll have the kitchery pack. They actually have all the spices with it. So let's say you couldn't even find the spices, you can order it, and that's all together. Basmati rice is pretty easy to get. And people have asked me, well, it's just rice. Can I do like jasmine rice? Can I do white rice? Can I do brown rice? No, you want to do basmati rice because it's
why?
Why, she asked? Because this is a very ancient formula. This whole meal is a formula. And basmati rice, the whole name of the game during a cleanse is you are literally trying to turn you are lowering the digestive system so that we can bring the toxins in and have them eliminated and not reintegrated into the system. And we're rebooting the system. And so you must get the nutrients into the system. One of the problems of why we have toxins in the body is because in our imbalances, in our mind imbalances, in our lifestyle imbalances, have turned our digestive system off. If you are in stress mode, you are not digesting.
That's for sure.
You are digesting very minimal, and then you have digestive imbalances where you have sluggishness, you have diarrhea, you have indigestion, you have gas, you have bloating. If that happens, your digestive system has been turned off, and the nutrients aren't absorbing. And so the basmati rice and the mung bean together are a whole nutrient dense, rich protein, but they are extremely easy to digest. And then the spices that are added in there, it's a whole formula that's ramping up the digestion and bringing in the absorption in the body. Because when you cleanse, you want to have energy, and you're going to feel energized. You're going to feel energized and lighter in the body and the mind. You don't want to cleanse and feel like,
Yeah.
how many cleanses have you been through where like, your energy just goes lower, 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 lower? You know, if you've, like me, I've experienced many, many cleanses throughout my whole life, you know, as I've been educating myself and experiencing. And there are some cleanses where you just have no energy. You're just on the floor because your body literally is not absorbing anything.
Yeah.
Everything's running out of you. And you think, oh, I'm being cleansed. You're being dried out, and no nutrients are going in, is what's happening. And that's what happens if you're in let's say in the Vata season. A lot of people suddenly start turning to salads and juices, and all they're doing is they're drying out the system. It's getting drier and drier, and it's not absorbing. It's moving and collecting more and more amla and toxins.
So this sounds like it can be, well, I shouldn't say it sounds like, what you've done for us, Christine, and this is why I appreciate you coming on, is you like break this stuff down for us so that we can be healthy and not have to worry so much about where do we find this stuff? How do we do this thing? What do we do? So that's very helpful. But with that in mind, do you have a good recipe for khichdi that you could share with us?
I do. And I think I shared the Vata one. So this is the Kapha one. It changes a little bit. The spices might change and the amount of water. So this is a much more watery one than Kapha than the Vata season, because remember I said in Vata, we definitely want heavier, thicker, denser, sweeter taste in the food. Now we want thinner, lighter, waterier food. And so that's what this particular recipe is. And how about if people can message me and I can share it with them? How does that sound to you?
That sounds perfect. And then that way, if they have other questions, they can also get those to you.
Yeah, and this season food list too, if anybody wants this, I will send them the PDF if they message me. How's that?
That sounds perfect. Wonderful. Great. And then when you come off of the cleanse, I know you say you slowly reintegrate food. So from this list that you have for the food list, is there something we should start with specifically after the cleanse?
No. If you were going to do a deeper cleanse, yes, that takes more time. And that's the hardest part of the cleanse. And that's why it's so important you have a practitioner that takes you through the first time of it, because there's just many, many layers and things that happen, and that practitioner is trained to stay in tune to what's going on with your individual body. But if you're doing the mono diet cleanse, just select the foods from this list. You know, these are all going to keep you in line and in tune. Don't go select ice cream and cheesecake. It doesn't mean to never have it. It means, particularly in the spring season, that would be something to have, once, during, Easter time, that wonderful time is, always we want to enjoy those holiday foods. And so you reserve that and you don't overindulge, and you eat the right proportion that your body is going to digest, and your body will digest that cheesecake wonderfully. If you've reset your system, if you've cleansed your system, and you don't eat, the excess amount, which your body goes, I can't digest that, giant 1 foot size piece that you just put in your body. The right amount is going to be so enjoyable and so digestible at the right time.
Yeah. So Magnolia Bakery, that's at Grand Central Station, that I walk past every day, has this incredible red velvet cheesecake that always calls to me. And then my brain says, no, but maybe I can buy one for after I do my cleanse as a treat.
Beautiful. Like our mutual friend Disha says, she bought that, that champagne when she was going to celebrate, and she knew it was coming. She doesn't know what. So maybe you buy that velvet cheesecake, put in the fridge, and you celebrate your success of your cleanse.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a little square.
Now we got one question. Somebody's asking, there's all these cleanses that you can buy at health food stores or online that have chemicals, and they're like, you take this many pills this day and this many pills that day. That's not the cleanse we're talking about, right?
2 thumbs down on all of that.
What do those things do to our bodies that we don't want?
Well, I can only imagine. If you're talking about chemicals and things like that, it's highly likely it's aggravating the situation. It's during this time having a juice cleanse, let's say this is more likely beneficial to do a green juicing cleanse during this time than, let's say, in any other time of the year. So there is benefit in that. But as I mentioned, you want to do the cleanse that's affecting the whole system. And so a lot of times, if you're just purely doing those juice cleanses, it's just the digestive tract. So you're just cleaning out that tract, which is nice, but you need to reset the system. We need to reset the metabolism, and we need to pull out some of the toxins and reset the way in which the gut is performing. This is an ancient practice. It's been going on for minimally 5,000 years, and it's been very well documented. And it's very well documented in modern medical studies. And so there is huge wisdom that I feel intuitively, and just from my experience, that it's what is good for the human body experience. And I feel like with a lot of things, those cleanses, we know we need to cleanse. And so the commercial industry really jumps on that and says, yes, you need to cleanse. And so people go, oh, I need to cleanse. I'm going to go get the cleanse. And we don't take into consideration, like I mentioned before, do we have a vata imbalance? Do we have a pitta imbalance? Do we have a kapha imbalance? What is going on, and how do we want to approach it? And it's like, oh, everybody, do your 10-day cleanse. Well, not everybody should be doing a 10-day cleanse. In fact, most people should not be doing a 10-day cleanse.
Yeah.
You can cause more harm than good if it's not approached in line with what's happening with your body. That is the fact.
That's why I like that you gave us the clues to look for as to how long we should be doing it. So that's great. So now we know if we need 3 to 5 days, or 5 to 7 days, or 7 to 10 days based on what's happening to our body. So Wonderful present to give us, Christina.
There's a couple other things to go along with it. And let's say if you're in that pitta category and you're going to do 5 to 7 days, there are good roasted pumpkin seed snacks to take in between, because it's great nourishment and it is incredibly building energy and easier to digest. And then the other factor, which is huge, is you want to sip hot water all day long. Hot water is natural cell rehydration. And so during this time, it's hard to do every 15 to 20 minutes. That's the goal. Does everybody do that? Well, we're not robots. Maybe you do it pretty well in a couple of days, but you want to have that hot water, hot to really warm. Again, we're trying to melt and clear out. And that goes to us because your cells are in this prime state when you're doing the cleanse to be rehydrated, because we don't want to dry the body out. We have to have that going on. So doing these two things together, your skin will have a youthful quality, everything. You have really revitalized your youth from doing that.
My youth could use a little revitalizing some days.
Everybody's, because what causes us to age? There are 3 things in Ayurveda. One is the mind out of time and motion. So when our mind is constantly thinking and worrying and in the stress mode, that is exponentially fast aging. When our mind, the second reason is when our mind, when we know something to do, like a cleanse, it's like, this makes sense, and we don't do it. That's the second reason. It's called failure of the intellect. When we don't do the thing that we know makes sense to do to continue health and well-being.
That makes sense. What's the third one?
I don't know. Brain fog is settling in, and it's suddenly like on the poop out of my brain. I know. Now I got it. It's over abusing the senses, eating too much, watching too much, hearing, something that's like cacophony, abusing the skin, to excessively abusing all 5 senses. It's what leads us into disease.
Okay, good to know. Let me see if there's any other questions. Nope. I think this has been really, really informative. And what I like best about you talking with us, Christina, is it's from the heart. And I know that y'all care about us. So that's really sweet. Yep.
Thank you for all your interest. Thank you for your group, for the questions they ask. I love being here.
Oh, thanks. And then if people want to work with you directly, I mean, we'll put this in the comments, but how do they reach you? If they want
Sure.
you to be that practitioner for that cleanse or just getting into your programs.
Yeah, let me pull up my note because my brain fog. I might forget my own email. You can contact me if you want to email me at support@yogaforbalance.online, and it's all spelled out, no numbers in that. You can direct message me because if you're here listening to me, you have Facebook. So look for Christina Sirgun Powers, and Sirgun is Sirgun, and then Powers. And I'm on Instagram now too.
That's true. You've done some really cool Instagram videos.
So that's how you can contact me. You can message. You can message in the comment section on this in Marie's group, and just let me know if you want the spring Kapha food list that we have here. I can send you the PDF. I can also send you my special spring kitchery recipe. And then
I definitely want the spring one. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have any questions about anything we talked about today, you can post a comment in Marie's group, and I'll get it. And or if I don't pick Marie for sure, I guess I always get it because my name will be in there.
Right.
And I'll respond.
Yeah, great. Well, Christina, thank you again for spending time with us and taking care of us. And Mary Lou is saying hi, so she's happy to be here. And yeah, like I said, I just love it when you spend time with us because it's just so informative and so tender and caring. And you're already getting people asking for the recipe in the comments.
Happy to share.
Well, have the best day ever, Christina. And thanks again for popping in to spend time with us.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. It doesn't want us to go away. It wants to stay on the stream. That's funny.
Oh, should I stop sharing?
Oh, yeah, maybe that's, yep, there you go.